Hello, everybody. Welcome to Two Ravens and the Wolf. Good Sunday evening to everybody. How are you two ladies doing?
Doing good.
Good and hot in Kansas.
Good and hot and sweaty in Kansas.
Yeah, it is.
That could be a song. Hot and sweaty in Kansas.
Yeah. It's a real feel of 100 degrees today.
It was about the last 2 or 3 days. It was in the low 90s temperature wise, and then today we had a little bit of a break. It was like 84. Luckily for me, my landlord decided he was going to be nice and repair our central air unit here. So I'm like, win.
Yeah, that's always good.
I mean, I stay cool. I got window units and stuff like that, but that could become very expensive really quick.
Yes, it can.
But now AC. I got central air now.
Good.
Yay.
That's awesome.
Let's say hello to people here in the chat. Looks like Mary Beth is here. How are you doing, Mary Beth? Good to see you. Diana.
Hey,
good
Mary
evening
Beth.
to you. Good evening, humans.
Humans.
And Frank, our good old buddy, the old wolf. Saying
Thank
welcome back.
you.
Welcome back,
Hello.
Lindsey. Do you enjoy your vacation?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, we
I'm
did
so glad
almost.
you did. I'm so glad you did. You
We did
didn't invite
almost
nobody to
4.
come along.
You could have came.
That's rude. I see you're sporting some inner demon gear today.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So you was
I
sporting that
sported
yesterday
it. Yeah.
at an event you was at, right? You was at like selling your wares and stuff like that, and you had that and the banner as well. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Um,
Oh, that right there. Matter of fact, there it is.
I had gemstones sitting on the bottom of it because it's
Keep it
black.
from blowing away.
Well, yeah, that too.
I'm gonna have to get me some gear.
Definitely.
Yeah. We'll have to get you some gear.
The only thing I'll say is hand wash the shirts or wash them on cold on the delicate cycle inside out. And then
Well, yeah,
hang
'cause
dry them.
it wears the
Yeah.
pattern wears that really quick for some reason.
It can, yeah.
Mine did a little bit. I was a bit shitty. I thought maybe it was my titties that was rubbing.
Well, I might have a problem then.
It's gonna be wore off for the week's end. Diana, hello, good evening to you. Hello, just switched to YouTube. So this must be Diana. Is this the same person?
Hello.
I don't know.
We have 2
Yeah,
Dianas.
I think so.
We got 2 of them hanging out with us at least.
Yeah.
So who's going to be the one introducing our guest tonight? I think it would be Miss Moonastira, right? Did I say
think
that right?
so, yeah.
Moonastira, however you want to say it, or Monica. Yes, so we have a Saul Ravencraft, and he is amazing. He has a wonderful story. Yeah, let's bring him on. Saul.
Welcome, Saul.
He's a very busy guy.
Very busy guy. He just came back from a reading, didn't he?
Yeah, a 2-day reading. If I'm
Welcome.
correct.
2-day reading.
Yeah. I was at the Full Moon Festival at Nature's Treasures in Austin, Texas, all day yesterday to celebrate the strawberry moon. And then today I was at Curia Arcanum's House of Curiosities on South Congress Avenue and doing readings there. So you will forgive me if I have a little medicinal chocolate as we are doing things. It's one of the things they got right in Harry Potter. Chocolate, really, especially the high cacao chocolate, it helps center you. It helps with that vibration when you've been doing a lot of stuff.
Well, I tell you, I had a friend of mine send me just a couple of chunks of that marijuana chocolate. I fucked up and ate the whole piece chunk. And I tell you what, I woke up the next. I don't get like marijuana cannabis hangovers, but the next fucking day I get up and I'm stumbling and running into walls.
I did that to my dad.
I'm like, fuck, man. I gotta take half of that next time. I ain't gonna do the whole one.
My dad ate 2 of the squares, the whole squares.
Man, these were like.
I'm not chilling quite that much tonight, but
you're not doing it right then, sir.
I want to make sure I was clear for you.
Like she said, Mary Beth says, I warned you. Well, you did. You did, to be fair. But it's like one of those things that says, do not tear the label off of a pillow or a mattress, and you do it anyway. You want to break rules.
They're made to be broken.
Not that one.
They're more like guidelines.
I was like in a serious state of coma for a minute there. I was like, oh, I'll just sit on my couch going.
Just comatose.
watching old episodes of American Gladiator. Well, welcome to the show, Saul. Give everybody a brief introduction of yourself.
Well, I got involved in all of this to prove it wasn't true and went way down the rabbit hole. So careful.
Don't you just love those rabbit holes?
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you make the wrong turn at Albuquerque.
Wouldn't trade it for anything. And it's interesting when you dare to go down the rabbit hole, all the ways that things change, all the way that your understanding changes. What is known cannot be unknown. And I don't know what y'all's experience has been with this sort of thing. Yeah, I'm from Texas. But my life really turned upside down when I went down the rabbit hole. And everything that was reliable and obvious wasn't anymore. And it was a little terrifying, but I've really gotten used to it. And I wouldn't trade it. I absolutely wouldn't trade it. But one of the things that people don't realize when they just kind of poke around in this stuff is that if you really eat the cannabis chocolate, right? If you really embrace this stuff, you're not going to be able to do it halfway. The universe will not let you.
Now, am I mistaken, or correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't you dabbled a little bit in the paranormal as well?
Well, I mean, it's all part and parcel, right? I was always curious about, everything that was on In Search Of when I was a kid, and Ripley's Believe It or Not, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I used to love.
Always fascinated me.
Yeah.
But I was raised in a very skeptical family, so those ideas were fun to think about. They were entertaining, but you weren't actually supposed to believe in that. And so imagine my surprise when I discovered that it was true. Magic and spirits and many of those things that are in these stories they're happening. And so for me, it's about exploration of all those things. Now, a lot of what I have personally explored are things connected with the practice of magic, with divination, with spiritual connection. So I've worked with seance techniques and that sort of thing. But I don't have a ghost hunting team.
Neither do I.
I'm curious. I'm interested. I just am not surrounded by those kinds of people at this stage of my life. But for me, I've discovered that all of that is open to anybody. That magic and spirit connection and many of these things are just part of being human. They are bestowed upon us as humans by the universe, and anyone can connect. There's a reason why we call it a practice.
Well, what is your practice? What is your? Well, what are you on right now?
What am I on?
Well, maybe I should rephrase that. What is your current path?
Dude, seriously. So if we got to put a label on me, I guess you would call me a chaos magician. I've looked into a lot of different practices, and I think it's one of the things that makes me successful in working with different people is I have a very broad view of magical practice and spiritual practice, and there's very little of it that I don't connect with on some level, right? It may not be my center, but it may there's very little that I've discounted, and for my own journey, a lot of it has gone down to basic thaumaturgy, will-driven connections with things. So I don't necessarily connect with a specific deity, though they're all cool, right? I'd hang out with any of them. But for me, it's very much more about that harmony and connection with the universe. And
I like that.
I have the same perspective when we talk about mediumship and spirit connection. I think everybody's got that mode. Some have more natural talent. There's technique that makes it stronger for you if you work on it. But anyone can throw a ball.
Well,
right? Anyone can throw a ball. Maybe not with speed and accuracy, but we can all throw a ball. And that means that we can all practice magic to some degree. We can all make spirit connection to some degree. We can all experience divination and all these other tools to some degree. You got to get over yourself and do it.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You have to hone anything in life, any skill, you have to hone it.
Right. And that's why you get frustrated. There are a lot of people, especially as practice of magic and a lot of these explorations into the occult have become more of an industry. Then you do have this idea that oh no, not you. You just need to pay for my show. Don't you go out and try this at home. You're not a wizard. And I think that's bullshit.
I couldn't agree more with you there too. I've said it 1,000 times. That's a lot to do with community gatekeeping. People wanting to tell you what you should practice or you shouldn't practice, and you get a lot of that in social media, especially in like Facebook groups and things like that, where there's a certain group of people that are running it, and if they don't agree with what you're saying, you'll get a message saying we got to take your post down because that's not correct, sir. Who are you to tell me what's not correct in my own life?
Yeah.
Right.
It's my perception, not yours. It's how I see it be done. If you don't like it, I had somebody try to gatekeep me about sharing music of pagan music into a group once, and they was giving me grief about, well, we don't allow that to do. We don't let you do this, and I'm like, whatever happened to uplifting everybody within the community? Why is all of a sudden now everybody's segregating this and this and that and that? Too much gatekeeping. Just, when it comes to magic, for me, I'm sort of like you too. It's the fact that I've did a lot of the research, did a lot of reading of books and a lot of occult stuff, and I've gotten to a point now in my path that I don't really use those old things anymore. I've kind of adopted my own methods of my own magic. Like, I just the way the universe works. I was right before the show, I was on YouTube, and I was thinking about my dad before I went on YouTube. And then I ran across the video by an artist called James Blunt, and he has this song called Monsters, and it was talking about how he was, his dad was passing away, and the song was about his dad passing away, and they're no longer a father and son, but two grown men sharing each other's experiences and saying goodbye to each other, and I'll be chasing your mom. And as soon as I fucking heard that song, I started bawling like a little baby. But I enjoy those moments because that's me connecting to people that I lost and I love. A lot of people run from grieving. I don't.
Right.
Sorry.
Well, and I think it's important that people should study this old stuff. They should look at all the different approaches and all the different metaphors and all the different techniques that they can. I don't think you should skip that part.
Oh, no.
But ultimately what happens, so I think you all know who Joseph Campbell is. Recently went through Joseph Campbell's Power of Myth, led a group through that. And one of the things that he talks about is the idea that all spiritual practices are symbolic. They're all metaphor. And that the people who created it knew that. The people who are the high practitioners know that. But a lot of people don't know how to deal with that. They can't deal with the symbolism. They need something very literal. So for you, we have these marble statues that you can pray and sacrifice to. And he says that's all fine if you pick something and you study it deeply because they have what you need. What happens is when people get stuck on the metaphor, instead of pointing that stuff at themselves, they start pointing it out at other people. Go, well, you're not doing that right, and your practice is not correct, and all of that, and then they lose it. They lose the whole purpose of it, and we're seeing some of that now. And I feel the exact same way when we talk about the spirituality of a magical practitioner. that there's some fundamental things that are really important, and if you're worried about someone not wearing the magic shoes, then you're missing the whole point, and you're a sad, sick little person. You got my pity.
I like that. You're a sad, sick little person. Monica, you got any questions?
Well put.
So I know you don't want to go back into how you came to start, but I really love your story.
There's places people can find that if they look me up. So I don't want to.
What's your favorite?
Repeat.
What's your favorite way for divination?
Favorites. All right. So let's talk about favorites for just a moment. I learned a very important thing about favorites when my daughter was about 5-6 years old. We went to Disney World, and we came back from Disney World. It was an amazing trip, so many things. And people would talk to my daughter. She's 20 now. People would talk to my daughter, and they would say, "What was your favorite thing at Disney World?" And she would say, "All of it." That was the end of the conversation. They missed a wonderful opportunity to talk about some of the adventures, the surprises, right? But they made her go down to one, and she refused. And I feel the same way when I see these posts on Facebook and that kind of thing. You can only have one donut forever. Which one will it be? And it's like, fuck you. I'm the wizard. I get all the donuts. I get all the music. I get everything. If you want to live in a limited lifestyle and a life of scarcity, that's fine. I'm going to live in a life of abundance, so I get all the donuts. So favorites is always a trigger word for me because so there are no favorites. But what I do find fascinating is the correspondences. I started with numerology because, remember, I'm skeptical. So numbers, right? All right. That's kind of sciencey, wiancy, right? And it was the first time that my brain started to carbonate on this stuff because I went through and I did some of the numbers and I immediately went, huh. And I started changing some things about what I was doing based on what the numbers were showing me. Because it was very clearly demonstrating that this way versus that way, that this is really what I want. And in tarot, which has broadened into cartomancy with playing cards and oracle decks and all of that kind of thing, I quit trying to memorize the book and I started letting these things tell their stories. Read it more like a comic book than a diagnostic. And I found that every aspect of divination has a connection with something, but they also connect with each other. But some of them are more useful. For example, I'll be looking at someone's palm. I love palms because most people have hands. And so you don't have to carry your cards around or anything like that. You just should say, stop in the name of love. And let me take a peek. But people will go, well, can you tell me something about romance? Can you tell me about, the person I'm supposed to be with? And I'm like, well, no, you got to bring their hand over here. I can't tell you about them in your hand. But what I can do is I can look at the qualities that you have and what kinds of qualities would probably resonate with that for an easy connection. But, there's no such thing as meant for each other. It's about whether or not you're willing to do the work. Sometimes the work is easy because it's an easy harmony. Sometimes the work is hard because it's more of a jazz chord. But if you have decided that you want to have that life together and you are willing to do what it takes to create and maintain that harmony, right? That's the magic, right? That's doing the work. For example, when I do card readings, I usually have about 5 or 6 decks out at least. I got a few that I've settled on as my go-tos that are just always in my kit. But every once in a while, I'll toss some others in there. And when I do a reading, it'll be, okay, well, let's do a card. So here you go. You can shuffle, you can dig, you can do whatever you want, but I need a card right there. Go. And often they're confused. They're like, "What? From any of them? Can I mix them? Good. It's okay for me to touch them." I'm like, "Yes, this is all about you. Go for it." And depending on the style of reading, I have a mode that I use for, say, commercial events, because I've read palms for PayPal and done tarot for Amazon and electronic arts and Fannie Mae and all that kind of stuff. It's part of my world. I have a mode that's just very straightforward so that we can get it done, kind of the party style. And so if we're doing that, then there's a mode for that. But when we get into divination, I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know what tool makes the most sense in the moment. It really depends on what you tell me and what happens. And we'll go through a mix of cards, but everyone's like, okay, because you're thinking about a certain thing. You're starting to talk about calendars and stuff like that. Let's pull some numbers in here. It seems like there's something you're working with that you got to access. Here, let's do a pendulum. Okay, you're trying to hold some energy, so let's do a sigil at the end of this, so that you can take that with you. I don't know what we're going to do. Because not everything is a nail.
You sort of just let the universe guide you in whatever the situation calls for.
Right. And it's funny because there are people that are clearly more comfortable with certain ideas. Like one of the things I love is I do cartomancy with playing cards as well as tarot. And generally when I'm doing a party reading situation, I'll have my playing cards, my tarot cards, and let people decide which deck they're interested in. And then it's their choice. So that's cool. But every once in a while, I'll be in a situation where I see people kind of steering clear. And so I put away my devil cards so that no one has to look at those. And we just read playing cards. And suddenly, everybody's interested. Even though it's the same thing.
The stigma. Yeah.
I like what Diana says here in the comments. Sometimes the cards will show the present state unbeknownst to even themselves. And that's true too.
Well, and what I'm fascinated with, Diana, is the choices people make of the decks that they want to use. And how, for me, it was a tremendous breakthrough to put the cards in their hands and let go of that. And my thinking on that was, okay, if I had hand painted all these cards myself and imbued all my personal energy into them, then that would be one thing. But I bought them at a store. Some of them I bought on the internet. They were probably printed in China. Right? There's a limit as to how much of my mojo is in there. And so I want to get these people in there. And it just fascinates me the way that they go for the right deck and the exact right card. I was doing some remote readings for a friend of mine who was in Belgium at the time. She likes me to draw cards for her every once in a while. And I drew a card. And it was the same card she had been drawing. And we were like, okay, well, let's try a different deck. Drew the same damn card. And it's like, well, I mean, I don't know how much more of this card you need to see. Maybe you need to focus on this idea.
The universe was pounding that message.
It's like
That's right.
You know what?
And she's a practitioner. She's a reader. She knows. And so one thing, because I do performance as well as sort of magical practice and divination. And in my shows, I have my weird artifacts like shrunken heads and and haunted things and stuff that people are fascinated with. There's strange tales that's a part of it. We play intuition games, which gets into some strange areas. And what I've discovered over time is that my theater gives people permission to do their own magic. They get the story, they get the idea in a way that makes them go, huh, and they click with it. And they do something with it. And I have the same approach for any metaphysical things that I do. I'm not here to do things for you. Right? I'm here to help you through that doorway yourself. Which makes me suck as a businessman, right? Because ideally I'm trying to create a bunch of people that want to buy from me forever. And I think I help them outgrow me sometimes.
Well,
but I think that's wonderful, because as we enter into this age of Aquarius, we need more people to be on board with being at the center of their own power and exercising that. So I see Diana talking about reading yourself. Oh my gosh, reading yourself. Isn't that weird stuff? So there are certain techniques of reading for myself that I find challenging. For example, cards and storytelling kinds of things I find really challenging, because my gosh, you got to interpret that stuff. And it's funny, because one of the things that fascinates me about doing readings for other people is I do not know why I choose to use certain phrases to describe this idea in this moment. I pull references from everywhere, from mythology, from pop culture. Whatever feels right to say this. There's often a little laughter when I'm doing readings with people, because it should be a little joyous to dig into this. But every once in a while, something comes out of my mouth. I don't know why I said it this way right now, and the person goes, and they look at the person next to them. He just said that thing, and I don't know why. I mean, that's part of the mystery, is just being open and letting it flow. And when you're reading for yourself, I find it a little harder to do that, because I know the stories I want. I know about pendulums, numbers, runes. I don't do the Elder Futhark so much. I'll use those more for ritual work, where I'm trying to apply an energy. But I've fallen in love with the witches' runes for divination, because I just find them so much more intuitive for myself. And pulling a rune like that, it has a fairly, your head gets in the way. And so anything I can do to let go of that, and not do that. Friends who do divination, right? Trading readings with someone, I think that's a terrific thing. Now, I do find it easier, doing readings for, oh my gosh, what should I do today? How should I solve this problem? Right? That's tough stuff. I really do want that information to come from a different direction, so that I can see it at a slight distance. But doing divination on spell work, doing divination, it's very common for me when I start my day at a place. I'll pull a rune or I'll pull a card and say, what do I need to see about today? And I'll get sort of an idea of what I'm looking for, and I just be open to that, and that's helpful. Lately, they've had a pattern, and it's been a lot about just being open and going with the flow and not worrying about stuff, and
Yeah, this seems like this almost like last week's episode when we was talking about the same thing about card readings. Trying to do I'm not a big fan of reading my own self as well. There's too much to get in the way for that answer. For like I said in the last week, it's one of those things that you already got a question in your mind and you're already seeking, you're already wanting some sort of answer. So there's moments where you're when you're doing your own reading, you're getting answers that you're subconsciously wanting to get.
You want your prediction to come true.
Yeah, so to me, it's just I just don't do it. I'd rather have somebody else read me. But then again, also, I'm not very hip on that as well either. I don't know why. I'll only let a few select people give me card readings. People that I trust, people that I know they're going to look at it and give me a reading, not because they know me, but because they're trusting their intuition, they're trusting the message, and not because they know parts of me that I need answers for. That's not. I don't need a reading like that. You know what I mean? I don't need someone. A lot of people on social media know I'm pretty open with my life, and so it's very easy for somebody to see something on social media of me and then take that and grab it and use it as like they can weaponize it.
Right, and it's challenging from a reader's perspective. That's something that I've grown in. Because I do feel like I can give good readings for people that I know, but I have consciously taught myself to let go of what I know and to interpret what I'm seeing, to interpret what I'm given. And sometimes it's really funny because the divination will replay exactly what we both know.
Yeah.
But we see that going on. The other thing I think is important, at least for me, is I see a couple of different modes with readers. One style that I've seen that I'm not real thrilled about is where the reader is a little caught up in their own power.
Oh yeah.
Right? I know things about you. I can tell you things about your past and your future, about your health and your love. I will tell you these things. How much money do you have? Right?
Hopefully it's $59.99 because I need to.
Right?
Hey, you stole my saying.
These people have modes and their language and their approach to everything is all about I have the power and I am doing this for you. And yes, that's a stereotypical old movie accent. Sorry. But I mean, it is that kind of a thing. And to me, it's really important that the reader is all about my journey and what I'm trying to do and not just showing off.
And that the person is getting the reading, they need to be aware of themselves that they're actually giving themselves a reading too. The reader is just giving a message. It's still up to you to take that message and decipher it in the proper way and get your answers yourself. Yes, you're getting a reading and you're looking for answers from the reader, but sometimes you can get a reader can give someone a reading and it might not pertain to anything at all that you know of at the moment until maybe a couple of days later, like, well, oh shit, that's what he meant by that, or that's what she meant by that. So it's really important for them, the person getting a reading as well, to be a reader too.
Yeah, and to be open to the information that you receive. We have to take all the information we get and file it in there some way and be paying attention, not just accepting the things that validate what we already thought.
Yep.
And not discarding the things that we go, oh, well, they don't know what they're talking. My favorite moment was someone that was just completely disconnected. I was doing a little quick elemental looks at people's palms, and someone got very excited and said, "Oh, let him look at your palm." And this one went and showed me the palm, and I looked at it, and very, very clear earth energy coming out of her hand. And I talked about the aspects of earth energy and the nurturing, sustaining quality and the desire to create something and all that. We got in the word nurturing. Her eyes started to roll because all she could think of was baby humans, and she definitely was not someone who wanted baby humans. And so she just no, that's all bullshit. And it's like, okay, I'm just telling you what I see. So I understand. What is it that you do for a living? I'm a life coach. And of course, at that point, it's no good to have the conversation that goes, but you nurture people. You're using that energy to help them grow and get better. She had already decided what all that meant, but my goal is not to be right.
I agree. Monica, why are you so quiet?
I don't know. I'm listening.
You're listening, but you're
I
a
am
co-host.
too.
But you're a co-host.
I get all excited. Don't be intimidated.
I'm already, yeah.
So you'll be at Witches Fest in July.
So I'm going to be on the virtual one.
The virtual one.
I travel everywhere I can afford to, and no one is sponsoring the trip to New York at this point. So I'll be doing the virtual presentations, and I've got a decent setup for doing that, so that's not a problem, and I get to have my own breakfast.
And what's your
with my own
workshop called?
kitties.
No cut.
Well, so I'm doing a couple of things. The first one is something that I've gotten excited about. I'm still doing some writing on it, but it's called Being the Villain.
Ooh,
This is something that has really become an enlightenment for me over the last year or so. For the most part, I think the people involved in this program, both on the screen and participating as a viewer and in the chat, are peaceful people. They live their lives through love. They want to manifest. They want a self-sustaining universe. And no matter what, and so part of that is we want to be understood. Right? We don't want people to dislike us because they didn't get it. No. See, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this. No. I'm not trying to destroy. I'm trying to create. But, no matter what you do, someone will think it's evil. And they will cast you as the villain. And there is nothing you can do about it.
Man, I just love that you say that.
Yes.
And sometimes when people cast you as the villain, you need to just build a fucking dark tower.
That's it. That's what I say.
You cannot fix their perception. All you can do is act and continue to do your best to put things out. Now, if you actually are a villain, if you actually are out there doing nefarious things for greed and power, you're going to get yours. Not because of a threefold rule or anything like that, just because everything has consequences.
That's it. That's it.
And what we put out surrounds us. But you can't spend all your energy on trying to convince people to not hate you. You just can't do it.
At some point in
and
time,
so how do you become self-validating? How do you stop asking for permission? How do you quit trying to win over people that are using up your energy that you should be spending on manifesting?
You become a villain.
Yeah.
And so if you can attract minions and get them to dress up and live in a slanty house,
that would be cool.
But quit worrying about. Batman needs to do his shadow work, and you just can't. You can't make that your center. And so I've realized that for myself because I've had people, because of my journey, that won't play with me anymore. and are upset about things that I'm doing. And for a while, I was really troubled by that, and I wanted to be in the good graces as I was being pushed away from places that used to be comfortable for me, people that used to be comfortable for me.
Going through that,
and I was ignoring the people that were telling me how much they had been moved and uplifted by the stuff we had done.
It's hard, Saul. I know. I've experienced this myself. You know, always try to make.
We all have.
Happy. I think we all have. We've all experienced this where we try to make people happy, and at some point in time, though, we have to come to terms that we only people we have to make happy is ourselves. Just be you, enjoy you, and then who cares what other people. Look, you're not living your life to make other people happy. You're living your life to make yourself happy. And if you're making yourself happy, people around you are going to start seeing that. Now, people like Monica and Lindsay, they've watched me for 3-4 years, and it's been an up and down journey for me. I have my high points, and I have my low points, but that's the beauty of it, right? We accept all the things that go on with our life. It's hard to overcome, especially when you've been around so many people that you've trusted, you confided into, you worked with, and then they have to go, and all of a sudden you become that villain. Yeah. And that hurts the most because your work wasn't about being a villain. Then you stop and realize, wait a second, my work has been a villainous work. The only reason why I say that is because we have to respect ourselves. We have to set boundaries for ourselves and for other people. And not everybody is going to like your boundaries. Not everybody's going to like what makes you happy. And then all of a sudden, especially when you work with people, when things go away and it stops, is when all of a sudden you become the villain. And you have to learn to say, all right, you can think what you want about me, but only opinion that matters is myself and my family, my immediate family, my boys. How do they look at me? How does my wife look at me? I don't care what the person out there thinks. The guy that walks by me is looking at me strange. Look at all those tattoos. He's got devil and pentagram all over his arms. So you're wearing a cross.
I think that, what somebody thinks about me is their problem, not mine.
I don't give a fuck is what I'll tell them. I don't give a fuck if you like me or not.
There you go.
But there are a lot of people that stumble into this path that they and we see it in all different areas where people realize that they are other. And yes, indeed. They realize that they are other. They don't conform with the so-called norms of society because of their sexual orientation, because of their view of what society can be, because of their view on what isn't or is not having a real job, because of their view of spirituality, because of the brand of jeans they prefer to wear, whether or not they wear Crocs, right?
This is true in the spiritual community as well. I mean, it's so true. It's a lot of hypocrisy in the spiritual community. You'll get, and I'm not a Christian, but yet you'll get in the pagan community people bashing Christians. Well, they judge us for being pagans and this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, fuck you, but you guys judge yourself too.
I piss off so many pagans because I refuse to participate in that anti-Christian rhetoric. Now, there are some messed up Christians, right? People who claim the label of Christians. It's like the line from A Fish Called Wanda, when the guy says, apes don't read Nietzsche, and she says, yes, they do, Otto, they just don't understand it. And I feel like there are many people that claim these spiritual paths, but they really don't get it. They haven't studied it very deeply. They have a very high level understanding of what this means. And then they're out there pointing the fingers. And every spiritual path has the meat on it and the veg, right? And you gotta go deep, and you gotta deal with it personally. And anyone who's not they are taking their spiritual path in vain to no effect. They're just using it as an excuse.
I'm a lot like you, Saul. I refuse to go down one rabbit hole, and that rabbit hole is going Christian bashing or Jesus bashing or God bashing.
Right.
I refuse to do it. Just because you guys want to hold on to something thousands of years old doesn't mean I want to.
Right.
And that's just me.
And yet, some of that stuff is good stuff, right? It's all in context. It's all in context. Now, asshole bashing, which may mean something else to some people. I mean, that I think is absolutely fair.
I did not expect that from you.
Right?
I got a little clip.
But I mean, everyone has a right to be an asshole, but you gotta accept those consequences.
Asshole bashing. Hang on.
Porn causes brain damage.
Now, I'm actually doing a second presentation as part of Witches Fest, and what it is it's going to be dialing all the way back to really what started my trip down the rabbit hole a little bit on the magical practice side. Was I accidentally came in contact with a book by Isaac Bonewitz called Real Magic. And in this book, he kind of arrogantly, but it was his first book, explains magic from the standpoint of just basic thaumaturgy. What is magic? How does it work? Divorced from deity or any particular path or anything like that. What is it doing? And how can we look at this from a somewhat logical perspective? And I thought he did a beautiful job of explaining and describing that. And then he goes on to show how many different patterns of spiritual observance follow this pattern. So it's a universal thing. You may not think you're doing it, but you're doing it. And for me, having this as a foundation for how I think of all magical practice has been very useful with this. Because how many times have you seen someone, oh, I'm trying to find a spell that does this thing, and you know, I looked all over the internet, but I haven't figured out exactly the right one. I don't like the rhymes on this one. Can anyone help me? And if you understand how magic works, then you have a greater chance of getting over yourself and using what you know to create what you need.
Most of it's intention.
Yes. But what does that mean? Right? Intention is tricky. We do a terrible job of working out intentions. Right? One of my favorites that I share with people when we're talking about intention is I need money to pay my bills. That's a great intention. But what did you put into that intention? You put money, we like that, but you also put bills to take the money. Is that really what you want? Is that really what you want the universe to give you?
That's amazing that you say that, because I firmly believe that. I quit my job 2 years ago. I was a warehouse manager. I was working on a line. I was painting electric motors. I was a foreman. And the universe spoke to me and said, and the exact words was, trust me. Trust in the process. And told me, step away, quit your job, and trust in the process. I was actually in my booth. I was spray painting a motor when this was said to me, and I was like, I got done with that motor. I was like, you know what? I'm fucking done with this. And I quit my job, and I haven't worked a day in 2 years. I do this as my living. I spend time with my family, my kids, and I do these shows, and I do the radio stations and stuff like that. And I have been blessed beyond my wildest dreams because I believed in the process. I stopped myself. I've not had to worry about anything in my life the last couple of years. It's laid itself out for me because I trusted in the process of it. And a lot of people are scared and to step away in what, let's say, bad relationships, and they've been in an abused relationship for 20, 25
Right.
years, and they're afraid to leave because of that comfort, that convenience.
Right.
And it's hard to pull them away. But once you do, and you realize that if you put all your cash and all your eggs in one basket and trust in what the universe wants you to do, and you follow that, the universe is going to supply you with everything you need and then some. And it ain't about money. It's about more than just money. If you're living your life constantly praying, I need this to pay my bills, or I need that, you're totally missing the whole point of what giving faith and giving bounty to the universe is about.
And just to get those cards and letters coming, that's exactly the core of Jesus' teachings. Let all that stuff go, and it'll be fine. Stop working so hard to have the nice clothes and nice food, and it's all there. Now, the couple of things that happen when you let that occur is you immediately begin to be all that you are.
Yes.
Right? All of the things that you can do, all of the things that you are interested in now start to roll into your life. I use all of my capabilities, my technology capabilities, my media capabilities, my writing, my presentation, my curiosity. There's nobody to tell me I can't work on something. Now, the universe did something similar to me that it did for you. It used slightly different language. I worked for a major technology company for 13 years, and then I didn't. And I thought I was just going to slide sideways into something similar, and it just would not happen. And in the meantime, I started falling back on other things that were at my disposal to buy the groceries, to pay the bills. And I just wasn't getting another job. And that was 8 years ago.
It's a beautiful thing when things like that happen. Because it shows that magic is real, and sometimes that people's definition of magic can be blurred, but we control a lot of what we put out into the universe when it comes to magic. We control a lot of what happens in our lives by our intention, how we want to manifest our thoughts. Even before you speak the words, the thoughts themselves can already start to create these magical happenings. So it's always be very careful what you do and what words you use and what you're thinking. And it's a beautiful thing when you see it and it's happening to you, going, wow, I would have never thought in a million years that I'll be sitting here doing this, talking to you, Saul, hanging out with Monica, or talking to Lindsay. I was a drug addict for 8 years, 10 years, and I've got myself clean. I'm like, well, I need to find myself again. And I never thought that I would be podcasting. I would own a radio station. I believed, above all, I believed in myself. And that is the power of magic, is believing in yourself. Not believing in a deity, not believing in another religion, but believing in yourself. And now whatever happens after that, whatever you decide to take, whatever path you decide to take, that's fine. But once you believe that you are the true form of magic, the possibilities are fucking endless.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So,
it does take practice, though.
It does.
It really does.
Yep.
You have to undo some indoctrination. You have to learn what to include in your intentions and what to not worry about. You have to have some experiences where magic worked for you so that you can understand what it really is. It's not like it is on television.
Absolutely.
It's not like in the brochure, right? Real magic, when it happens, feels like a coincidence.
That's it.
Oh, that would have happened anyway. Would it? And once you experience it enough, you realize that, well, whether I'm creating coincidence or causing magic doesn't matter as long as it works, and I'm just going to keep doing the thing. And that's why I think it's so important to move toward your own center. Center. Not your own center, right?
I like
Although sometimes those go together.
I always tell everybody that they're. I was having a conversation with my sister yesterday, and she said, and she was a little depressed, and she wasn't. She wasn't really happy with the way her life has been the last 30, 35 years, and it's starting to take a toll on her. And I love her to death, but it's this mentality that has been trained in our family that the writers have this curse, and the writer name is never meant to be anything. I told her, and I tell a lot of people this when I have intimate conversations with. You are the center of the universe. Anything and everything that happens around you, you create, or sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously. It's up to you to recognize the things that are happening subconsciously and try to break these cycles. But you have to. A lot of people just don't accept the fact that they can control their outcome on their lives, and it's like a healthy reminder. You can break these cycles. You can break away. You can. These people are your husband or your boyfriend or girlfriend. They don't own you. You're not property. You're a partner. A partner. And being a partner, that comes with some freedom. And you can break these cycles by saying no. Or, look, I'm going out. If you're not going to let me go out, then you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. You just have to deal with it. Cope with it. Not my issue, but yours.
Yeah. Have you thought of giving her a copy of the ancient ritual that you used to break the curse in your household so that she can do it too?
I have given her what I've done personally. I've never given her any literature to point to. For me, it's always about believing in yourself.
Right, but some people, especially if they're stuck on the metaphor, they need that little proof. And I wonder what would happen if you wrote up a spell for her that she could do to break the curse in her own house. That had some ritual to it. That had some of the things that were necessary to do this. And it may be that she could believe in that spell in a way that she can't believe in the idea that she can do it herself. And that'll teach her that she can do it herself.
A lot of it is, I probably shouldn't be sharing too much of this, and I won't share a whole lot.
La 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 la.
But she has been in a married or in a relationship ever since she was the same person since she was 14 years old. So there's a lot of programming that's gone on the last 35 years about her self-worth, and to the point that she believes in a lot of what she's been told. And that's a vicious cycle that's hard to break unless you've got people around you to remind you how important you are. Sometimes it's not one of those things that you can do necessarily by yourself unless you're really strong-willed and you're determined to become a better person.
I went through that with my first husband, and I broke free when I was 30 years old, and being with him for 15 years. I didn't have any support. I just got to that point that the gods are like, you need to move. You can do this. Yeah.
Right.
Same.
Well, and the truth is that some experiences are like scuba diving. You decide you're not having fun anymore, you surface, you're done for the day. Some experiences are like spelunking. And if in the middle of cave exploring you decide that you're not having a good time, you're only halfway done, because it has to be undone in some way. And some energy is like that.
And you have to
some
train
experience
yourself.
Is like that.
You have to train yourself to break those cycles. You have to. I always told what I did was when I was recovering from drugs, from personal experience. This is what I did for myself. Is I walked into the bathroom every morning, and I looked myself in the mirror, Because one of my biggest problems, I didn't love myself. I didn't care about myself. I didn't care if I was alive or dead. I made a personal point to get up every single morning, walk to the bathroom, look in the mirror, and say, Sid, I love you. And you do, and the first month, 2 months, it's the hardest thing you could do. But if you keep doing it, you keep pushing yourself, you keep reinforcing these positive thoughts, like, everybody's told you in your life that you ain't worth a shit. And then here you are every morning waking up telling yourself, you know what, Sid? I love you. To the point you start believing it, just like you believe the people saying all the negative shit about you. That's how I got through it. Nobody liked
and
me.
I want to touch on Mary Beth's comment that she made about people making their mistakes, and this is really at the core of owning your own shit. Is once you realize that you are at your center, and that if we're not ready to be at the top of the mountain, that the universe will create little training programs for us to work through, and that's okay. But everyone's journey is different, and just like in spiritual practice, you can't point at other people and go, well, you're not doing that right, you're not doing that right. We all have things. Raise your hand if you haven't, or raise your hand if you have. Have any of us had to learn things the hard way?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
More
right?
hands.
If you have been spared that part of the journey, would you have gotten the message?
No.
Nope.
No, because we all have our own way that we have to do that. And, for me, one of the hard parts of being a parent was realizing that I could not fix my kids' mistakes. I could urge, I could do things, but there was a point where trying to punish her into compliance was not going to work. She had to figure it out. And if her grades were going to suck, then she was going to have to figure that out. And somehow she's become a person who seems to have her shit together. Better than I did at her age. So somehow that stuff, but I couldn't fix everything. I couldn't tell her what to do. I had to just, I'm here. I'll help how I can, but you gotta own your shit. And so we have to do that as well. Even when we see someone doing something all wrong, we have to, we can be there to help hide the bodies, I guess, but we can't save them that journey. Yeah, you can lecture someone to do better. It doesn't mean they can.
Or they want to. Sometimes, especially when it comes with an addict mentality, when you see a friend that's suffering from addiction and you're trying to be a friend to help them, hey, you need to get yourself sober. We'll send you to a program, this and that, and they come back and they fall off the wagon again, and it becomes a vicious cycle. But they normally don't stop until they are ready to stop, until they hit this spiritual or human downfall that they feel like that's the bottom of the line. They can't get no worse than this.
Yeah, well, you can't help someone who's not willing to help themselves.
Yes.
Well, this has a lot to do with forgiveness and genuine forgiveness.
That's right.
Forgiveness means we will not speak of this again. Right? Lindsay, if I loan you $20 and then I tell you I forgive you that debt, and then a week from now I say, hey, Lindsay, remember that $20 you never paid me? And you go, but you forgave that. And I'm like, I know, but you never paid it. Right? Just rub your face in that.
Yeah.
That's not a do-over. And true forgiveness is a do-over.
That's shitty.
And someone struggling with something like the kinds of the addiction issues and things that Sid, people know they fuck up. People know that that's not their best. They know it, but they haven't figured out how to work with it, and letting each do-over. Sid, were you involved with any kind of Alcoholics Anonymous or anything like that? Have you pointed people toward things like that to maybe help them out?
Absolutely.
And
I don't limit anybody when I try to give someone help. I don't limit them on how they can find their recovery. All I can do is encourage them to find what works best for you. I can use my
right,
journey as an example, but I always tell everybody, don't, just because I'm giving you an example, that's just me letting you know that I can relate, that I've been part of what you're going through. Not my method might not work like yours, so I encourage you to seek professional help. Because in a spiritual community, let's be honest, there's a lot of people out there that want answers or people to solve their problems that we as spiritual leaders are not capable of handling. We're not paid doctors, we're not paid psychiatrists, we're
right.
not these people that can diagnose these situations. I could be somebody to say, hey, you might want to get some medication, but that's not my place.
That's right. That's right.
I can guide
Now,
you,
Sid, when
say,
you went
check
through
this
your
out.
journey, you basically woke up one morning and went, well, I'm just not going to do drugs anymore. And then it was smooth sailing. You
Oh,
didn't have
fuck
any
no.
temptation. You didn't have any
No. I
setbacks.
fell off the wagon. My eyes were opened up when I lost my best friend, and it wasn't due to drugs. It was just due he leaded a bad life, not a healthy life, and he just passed away at an early age. And I was deep in my addiction when he passed away, but I was getting to that point that I was ready to stop. And so me
Right.
stopping wasn't necessarily the easiest thing that I could do. There was many steps that I had to go through. First was leaving the person that was enabling me to still be using drugs. That was the big step. I had to leave my first wife. But during the process of getting sober, you're going to fall off the wagon quite a few times. Maybe not as many. Maybe not as many as me. I mean, I fell off the wagon 2 or 3 times. When you first do it, you fall off the wagon because you still got some of that programming, and that sickness is still there, and you still got to work with it. So I always try to encourage people or tell people, look, just because you fall off a wagon doesn't mean you can't get back up, get back on, and try again. There is no timeline. There's no deadline. There's nobody here to tell you that I have been sober for 90 days. Well, I'm happy for you. I'm glad you made it 90 days, but it makes other people feel inferior in a sense because they're seeing all this success, and then that other person that's watching this person with all this success has fallen off the wagon and discourages them, and it makes them feel like, well, I feel like I'm never going to get this way or go this long, and then they go back to their same ways again. I've never been one really to endorse that kind of behavior.
Well, and each setback is a do-over.
Each setback's a do-over.
Right.
That's right.
And it has to be treated that way. So by the same token, hey Sid, remember that time you fell off the wagon last week?
I sure
Let's
do.
just rub your face in that again, right? And what needs to happen is okay, you fell off, but you started over. And we're gonna deal with the new life, not the old life, no matter how old that is. And that's true of addiction. It's true of any major transformation that you have to go through, where you're gonna fall back in the old understandings, fall back in the old habits, fall back in the old ways. You have to forgive yourself. You have to be with people that can help you to embrace the new. And
sometimes these people that fallen off the wagon that fell short from their, let's say they're trying to meet a goal and they fell short and they fell to temptation. Sometimes these people, all they really need is just a hug, just someone to tell me it's all right, I love you, here, I got you, buddy, and you're stooping down and you're helping them get back up again. Sometimes all they need is just a simple word of encouragement, and we don't get enough of that in today's society.
They need to be told that you love them.
Yep. They're too quick to throw you away, dish you off to the side. Well, he fucked up. Well, he's no longer around me no more. He's no longer around in my home no more. I don't want them around because he did it again. You're making them feel worse. Just say, you know what, I love you. All that matters is that you're still here. and all we can do from here is love each other and keep moving forward.
What you're telling them is that you don't think they should exist, but you don't personally have the guts to take them out.
It's shitty, really.
Yeah, it is. It is. And people who overcome that kind of stuff, you know, it's the people that show them the light, the possibility, and
just
and
the hope.
Hope.
That's
well,
it.
So that's the big one. You've heard the story of Pandora's box, right?
Yep.
How all the evils were left on the world. The thing that people leave out of that story is the one thing that was left in the box at the end.
Hope.
It was hope. That's the whole point of the story. That hope is more powerful than all that other stuff. And, you know, to me, opening yourself to being in harmony with the universe and the possibilities of magical practice. I mean, what more hopeful thing is there?
I tell you what, that was my saving grace, was going back to witchcraft, paganism. It showed me, it wasn't the people that was around me, because I didn't have all that at the time when I decided that I'm going to follow this path again. It was just me, but there was something different about it. It showed me a little bit of discipline, and it showed me that I have these strengths and powers within myself to be able to control these things that I didn't recognize before. So it gave me that witchcraft really saved me, and what really kept me sober for first couple years of me getting sober was the witchcraft itself. Giving me that witchcraft is so good about empowering you, right? Letting you, witchcraft is, or paganism or any kind of magic, it's all about it telling you that you have the power to do what you want. And that was something that I lacked in my life.
But hand in hand with that, done properly, it also teaches you to be responsible for what you manifest.
That's it.
And the thing about that is, you know, there are consequences for what you manifest, no matter what it is. And you have to, it doesn't relieve you of having to do things. You still have to act. You still have to put yourself into the world. You still have to put your vibration out there, even knowing that you are bringing about consequences. You're cutting down a tree, and so maybe you ought to plant a tree. But that first tree's got to come down, because that's the only way to get it done. And not, you know, it's so much more convenient when you've got some being that will just take all this away from you. And you know, you don't have to worry about what you did. It's not really your fault. Somebody ate some bad fruit a long time ago, and you know, that's really what this is all about. Not your fault. And taking on this perspective is hard. You've got to really own it on a level that you don't always have to with some things. But if you can, then you become such an amazing potential force for good. And you recognize yourself in harmony with nature. You don't feel like you're above nature. You know, you're part of nature. And you are working for the greater good. And you know, I think consequences are good.
I do too. Hold you accountable for your actions.
Absolutely.
I want to take a moment before we end tonight's show. Hard to believe it's already been an hour and a half.
My goodness.
Wow.
Right?
That went fast.
But I want to just take notice. I don't know who this person is, but she said, I'm assuming it's a she. My boyfriend is dealing with his son's death from addiction 2 years ago, and I am so supported. His son was a great love. I just want to take a moment and say my heart goes out to you and your boyfriend. I lost my son exactly almost 1 year ago today, 1 year ago as well, from drugs and addictions as well. And it's going to be one of my life missions until the day I die, is bringing an awareness to these kind of things, because we're not alone in this. There's a lot of families out there that's been affected, or they've lost loved ones due to drugs, alcohol, or just trauma that they've not dealt with. And that's one of the biggest things about inner demon meeting. We all have inner demons that we have to deal with on a daily basis. We here at the channel, we choose not to hide from them. We face them and try to deal with them and show you guys that you're not alone out there. So my heart goes out to you, Facebook user. I don't know who your name is. I feel you, and just know that you bringing this into the chat room and you saying this is going to make a difference, and somebody else is going to see this. Go, oh, wait a second, I'm not alone either. You're not alone. None of us are alone. We're in this together. Okay, sorry about that. Joan?
No, that's and you know, I've got someone dealing with a similar anniversary right now. I mean, it's a widespread experience.
We love you, Joan. We love you, and we're just gonna just send you a bunch of love your way. I know 2 years.
Tonight.
2 years. It seems like it's a long time, but it's nothing. It's 2 seconds when it comes to a loved one. There is no time frame of when it gets easier. We just learned how to cope with the loss, and we learned to take the negative of what happened to our children and try to take that and make it into something positive. Do we want the lasting legacy of our child to be how they passed away through drug addiction, or do we want to take what happened and turn it into something positive and give hope to other people? And what you've done by acknowledging that is give other people that will watch this show hope that, hey, I don't have to deal with this alone, and I don't have to be, sitting in my room crying. There is people out here that will listen to me, that will relate to me, that I can talk to. That's empowering right there, Joan. And we love you, Joan. Sorry.
Oh, no apology necessary. This is the way.
This is the way. This is magic. Is the connections we can make with people who are watching, and the things that we talk about on the show are as magic, because we just don't know when someone is watching something and going through something, and these topics just don't get brought up for no reason. So there's somebody out there that's going to need this message, and when we send you that love as well. Now, before we go, Saul, tell everybody where we can find you at on all the socials.
Well, the name Saul Ravencraft is not hard to find. I'm on Facebook. I am on Instagram and Twitter and a couple other things, but Facebook is mostly where I spend my time because I like the conversation. SaulRavencraft.com is my website, and there are ways to join up with what I'm sending out, and also if you want to reach out to me. Now, I will tell you, if I don't know you, that I may not immediately accept a friend request for you, but if you go to Saul Ravencraft Wizard, that's my page, and it's really easy. Most of what I'm doing goes on out there. You don't necessarily want to keep up with my cats.
I'm still waiting for an accepting a friend request.
Well,
still waiting.
I can vouch for him.
Sometimes waiting is.
Well, so ladies, Monica or Lindsey, you guys like to add anything before we go?
No, I've enjoyed the show. I've enjoyed listening.
Yes. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at Witches Fest. Is there another festival that you're doing also? I think there's another one. What is it called?
There's a tarot and oracle festival going on at Nature's Treasures that I'm going to be involved in, but that's local to Austin. So if you're in the Austin, Texas area, I'd love you to come out. But the Witches Fest is the only one I know that is going to be far-reaching. But I'm certainly happy to participate in others. So if you got something going on, you feel like my energy is the right sort of thing for what you're doing, I'd love to I'd love to make new friends and have new conversations.
I'm glad you said that because I've been thinking about throwing in like a little weekend festival with classes and stuff like that and drum circles here. I'm dying to have some human contact here lately. I'm so tired of.
We need adult time.
I live in the country, to be fair. So, I mean, I live in a town with a population of 800.
Oh, that's smaller than where I grew up.
So it's really seclusive here. It's really nice little area. And so I thought about doing like a weekend festival with vendors and courses and classes and readers. So I'm glad you said it because I might hit you up to do that.
That'd be a big boost for your town, too.
Well, yeah, this Bible beating town just love that.
Or you might get stabbed.
To be fair, this town is really a beautiful town, part of Indiana. It's right along the side of Wabash River, so it's close to Michigan. It's fairly close to the Illinois, right top middle, and they don't have any festivals around here. But there are a ton of witchy pagan people around here that I've come across, like my neighbor across the street. Very spiritual, naturalist. They love nature walks. They love everything. And when I told them I'm a pagan and I do this stuff, they like, what? This is great. So I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off this year, but I'm definitely thinking about planning on doing something at the beginning of maybe as soon as fall.
Nice.
That sounds like a great idea.
I think so too. I've been wanting to do it for a while. Just sometimes, timing isn't right, or you're just kind of waiting for them right moments, and soon, so I feel like it's going to be that right moment for us to, because I can see a hunger for it around here, and it'd be a great for people to get away for a weekend and really enjoy a nice area.
Follow your instinct.
Yeah.
Exciting. I'll be there.
Use your words against you.
All right. Well, Saul, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I know it's been a busy day for you, or a busy evening, day, both, whatever. But I think
the wizard needs food badly.
Especially now the wizard's got the munchies.
Allez, mange.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us again,
Thank
my man.
you, Saul.
We'd love to have you back on.
Thank you.
I don't think we've covered enough of this conversation with you tonight, so I would like to get you back on again sometime in the near future.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I'll talk about anything.
Careful what you say there, sir.
I've been fondling statues in Greece.
Oh, nice.
You should have seen what she did to Zeus.
Nothing Zeus hadn't done to anyone else.
It should have been like an OnlyFans or something. You guys, thank you all for tuning in tonight. You guys, thank you so much. We'll be back next Sunday. And then this coming up Wednesday on Talking with Heathens with myself and Papa Olafson. We got Jesse from Midgard Music on the show. So that's going to be a great time. And until then, guys, be safe out there. Take care of yourselves. And before you go to sleep tonight, make sure you just roll over and give the one you're with a big hug. Because you never know. You might not ever get that another chance. So until then, guys, be safe, be well, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. We're going to end tonight with one song we're going to be playing tonight by Kasik, and this is their song Fly High Again. We're sending you guys off with. Until then, guys, be careful out there and love each other.
Good night.
That's me.
Fly high again.
Let me go, and if you cry, I don't care how long you take.